Welcome to 5 Questions with Tara Inc. We're here with Joel Hoffman, Executive Director of Vizcaya Museum and Gardens. Welcome, Joel.
Hi, Tara. Pleasure to be here. Thanks for
How
hosting.
are you?
Very well, thank you.
Thank you so much for talking with us. So give us a brief history of Vizcaya.
So Vizcaya was built by James Deering, whose family made their wealth by producing mechanized farm equipment that really kind of revolutionized the way that America's farming occurred more than 100 years ago.
Wow.
Deering, like so many after him, decided that Miami would be an amazing place to spend the winter months. And so in the early years of the 20th century, he decided to build the extraordinary state that we now know as Vizcaya. And you know, when we kind of learn about what Deering was envisioning, it doesn't seem like he was anticipating something quite as elaborate as he ended up with. But over the course of time, his enthusiasm and his visionary designer combined with a lot of trips to Europe to look at similar estates for inspiration and to buy a lot of the furnishing. Shopping trips definitely resulted in a project in an estate that was pretty complicated. So Vizcaya consists of the main house and the formal gardens that visitors are so familiar with today, and those are really inspired by precedents that Deering saw in Italy. But a lot of people may not know that Vizcaya also had these extensive lagoon gardens that continued south, where Mercy Hospital and those affiliated organizations are. And then on the other side of the street, if you remember, I said Deering made his wealth in farm equipment. He had a small farm that actually operated across the street. And at that farm, a number of staff members lived. And it was completely different than the farming that was being done by his, the equipment that his company produced. This was really sort of a small scale kitchen farm, hand labored and all of that. So much of that still exists, and we've been working on renovating those buildings with the goal of reopening it to the public. I'll just say Vizcaya became a museum in the early 1950s. Deering finished the house in 1916. He only had about 9 winters to enjoy it.
Wow, that's a shame.
Before passing away in 1925, and then his niece, it is a shame, yeah. And then his nieces spent about 25 years working really hard, realizing that they had something incredibly special to make it a public museum. So it became a county museum in the early 1950s, and has really lived most of its life as a place that's accessible for the enjoyment of the public, even though it started as one man's private home.
I'm so glad you said that. So as glamorous as Vizcaya is, it's really accessible. So let's talk about the community programming.
Sure. So, I've been at Vizcaya quite a while. It's actually been 16 years. And in the time that I've been there, my colleagues and I have really been working on making Vizcaya a true community resource. And in part, that comes from building visitation. And obviously, the days of COVID-19 are bringing us rather different experiences relative to visitation, but really proud to say that, in recent years, visitation has really spiked, showing that there's an appreciation for a unique place like Vizcaya in our community. We have about 300,000 people who will come to Vizcaya in a typical year. A lot of those people are coming for daytime tours, of the house and the property, but a lot of people are coming for community programs that we do. So we're really focused on these being about and accessible for the community. Vizcaya is not a place where you're only going to come and learn about arcane facts surrounding architecture and decorative arts and landscape design, but we're really doing a lot that we hope is important to Miami. So for example, a lot of our programming in recent years has been on the environment and environmental sustainability. In addition to what Vizcaya is best known for, there's incredible biodiversity on the property, and we
I
have
like
this.
that biodiversity.
It
That's
is
a good word.
And so we have an annual event called Wild Vizcaya. Usually over 1,000 people will come to that, and kind of get to study the ecology of the spot. We're also really focused, although Vizcaya started as one man's and one very wealthy man's place, really telling broader stories of our community. So, for example, in recent years, we've been working really closely with the Black Bahamian community in Coconut Grove, many of whose ancestors were involved in building Vizcaya and have stories to share about that involvement, but like us, are super interested in making sure that the history of their community is preserved. And I'll also say, as we increasingly develop the village across the street, we're introducing programs on farming. Just before the pandemic struck, we had plans to launch a new farmers market in the Vizcaya village, and hoping that will get to occur really soon. So, big message. We're doing a wide array of programming. Hope your friends can check out our website. Once we're back to live programming, in the meantime, doing a lot of online work as well.
Excellent. So, Joel, how did COVID-19 affect Vizcaya?
Well, so we, like so many other businesses and cultural organizations, closed our doors in mid-March. And we were really among the first cultural organizations able to reopen, and we did so with our gardens in early May, and then we reopened portions of the main house in early June. So although Vizcaya had closed, and although we are operating at a well below capacity at this point, Vizcaya is not a place that stops needing constant love and attention, and that is very costly. So, I'm proud that we have been able not to lay off any of our staff, despite our financial losses. But the expenses have, really continued to mount as we care for the house, as we care for the gardens and the collections, in this pretty vulnerable bayfront location. So after we did reopen in early June, visitation has started at about 20% of the norm. Thankfully, it's been increasing over time, but we're also not able to do important income generating photo shoots and facility rentals that really help pay the bills for preserving this elaborate place. So, we estimate that in the first 6 months of this pandemic, we will have lost about $3 million in revenues. We've cut costs.
Staggering.
And we know we're not alone. It's obviously so many organizations are facing. We've cut costs however we can. We've introduced salary cuts, as so many other organizations have. We've secured federal aid to some extent, and super proud also that we're one of 6 cultural organizations in the state of Florida to secure a grant from the National Endowment for the Humanities to continue digitizing collections and telling stories about that. Thank you.
Amazing, amazing. How can we help Vizcaya?
An important thing that we have done, Tara, is to launch a COVID recovery fund. This is a way for us to reach out to our community and say, we really want Vizcaya to be strong and vibrant on the other side of this pandemic. Our community needs places like Vizcaya more than ever, when we get through this. And so we are really grateful to anyone who can step up to the plate in any way they're able to and make a contribution to our COVID recovery fund by visiting vizcaya.org/recovery. We're grateful and honored by how many people have stepped up to the plate. We are so thankful for your friendship and support of us always, and in this hour of need, and just a a huge thank you and a lot of love to you.
Of course, and even $10 helps. And that was our idea when we wanted to do a social media challenge, that a gift of 100, 200, 1,000 is wonderful. A million would be divine, but a gift of $10 will go to help Vizcaya. And so that is our social media challenge for the next 2 weeks. And we are hoping to get some great momentum for you. And because there is only one Vizcaya. There's one Grand Dame in Miami, and she would be Vizcaya.
Well, there's also only one Tara, and
Promise
and
with Brett.
we really do appreciate you mobilizing your friends and troops, and love the idea, and absolutely a $10 donation from so many who have enjoyed this property will make a world of difference immediately. So thank you all so much.
Amazing. And my final question, and for this question, I bring back Liberace, my chapeau hats creation, who debuted at one of the Vizcaya Preservation Hat Luncheons. Will the hat luncheon return next year?
Yeah, I have to say your Zoom background is making that chapeau rather more dynamic than it usually is. The feathers are coming in and out.
Thank you, William. William Reed did my background for me.
Right now, we are really hopeful that the preservation luncheon will occur as it has for so many years. We know that's a great moment for our community, and obviously it will depend on how things unfold, but we're keeping our fingers crossed and really hoping to see you all there.
Well, my March is wide open for the hat luncheon. Thank you, Joel Hoffman, and thank you for allowing us to help you. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.